So I've been in the business for about 3.5 years and I'm obsessed with it. It's literally changed my life. I've earned $172,000 in bonuses, but I've also met some of my best friends. And it's just been such a blast to have this business come and just challenge me. And I think that what we're going to talk about hopefully will challenge, oh my gosh, my notifications. Hopefully, what we're going to talk about is going to challenge you guys to do just some deeper digging for yourselves and push yourself into a different level, not just of leadership, but of leading yourself, right? And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to let the other girls introduce themselves, and then we have 5 main topics. So if you're green, if you're a note taker, we're doing 5 topics. We're trying to keep it organized for y'all, trying to keep the time and respect your guys' time. So make sure, you kind of clue into that, because we're each going to be touching a little bit on each of those topics. So I'm going to let Jasmine introduce herself, and then you can pass the baton after that, Jazz.
Hey, y'all. I am Jasmine Kwaku. I'm a triple diamond leader. I've been in the business for a little over 2 years. And I just met Kelsey and Kayla this weekend. I hitched a ride with Kelsey after dinner one night, and we were literally inseparable. So I'm super thankful to be here. This business, like Kelsey said, has completely changed my life as well. And I'm just excited to share some of these nuggets with you guys. And as my hat says, it's go time.
All right.
Kayla.
Hello, my name is Kayla. I've been with It Works for a year now, which is crazy. It goes by so fast. Kelsey, funny story. Kelsey called me. I was literally in bed, like half asleep, and she calls me in the morning. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Sleeping." She's like, "What are you doing for the next couple days? You have to go to this leadership thing with me." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." She's like, "I have an extra ticket you can buy." So I literally went. I had no idea what to expect, and I can honestly say that it has changed my entire mindset, and it was honestly incredible. And the stuff that we are going to share with you, it's amazing, and it's not even like a third of what we learned there. So I am so pumped for you guys to hear all this stuff, because you guys are going to want to take notes, green or not, because this stuff is incredible. So I'm super, super pumped to share it with you guys. And where is Rachel? She on here?
Yeah, I had to unmute myself.
Okay.
Well, that is SJ, everybody. He says hi. So my name is Rachel Edwards. I'm a diamond leader. I've been in the business almost 8 months now. And we all met Kelsey and Kayla this weekend, and it just went from there. I saw Kelsey, and I was like, "Oh, I know you. I've seen your YouTube videos before, especially the one with Autumn." I was like, I knew her face. And so that's how we all met. It just happened that quick, and you would think we've known each other for over a year. But I'm very excited to share all these golden nuggets with you all that we learned from the Global Leadership Summit. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet. So Burgundy, you're up.
Hey, everybody. My name is Burgundy. I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I've been in the business for a year. This is actually my second time in the business. I'm currently a double diamond. The first time I was a double diamond. And like everyone has said, hey, SJ. Like everyone has said, this conference this weekend was truly amazing, life-changing. It made you think. It made me, sweep around my own front door. It made me want to be a better leader. So I'm really excited to share and just debrief with the team. And I'm so glad we were able to conjoin with Kelsey's team. Love her. She's a ball of fire. But yeah, that's it.
I love you too. Okay, so how we'll do this, just to kind of keep it short and sweet, is I'll just kind of lead, and then I'll just call on somebody. I'll just keep calling on people. And that way we can kind of just flow. Because here's the thing, you guys, each of us took away something different. And that's the cool thing about what we're gonna share with you, is that each of us was watching the same thing and different things stood out to us. Now, there were all these moments. Just imagine, it's just packed out mega church. Okay. Like when I say mega church, like they had a coffee bar, they might as well have had like an exercise facility. Like it was literally like the biggest church, 10,000 people. Yep. And so it's this huge, and it's a Christian-based like leadership conference. It's called the Global Leadership Summit. So Google it after we're done. And so it's literally like there were those moments when people would say stuff like these leaders, and you'd be like, and like the whole crowd would do the same thing. They would like, because it would just make you think, right? And one of the things that I do just really want to make sure that you guys know is these people that we were listening to weren't just like Joe Schmo from around the block that could talk kind of good on stage. Like I think at least every single person had a net worth of over 10 million. Right. And so what we're talking about is not just it works. What we're talking about is so much bigger than it works. None of these people probably even knew what it works was that were talking to us. We just were listening to these amazing, accomplished people. And so one of the themes that we're going to talk about is vision. Okay. And vision is so important. The conference was called the Global Leadership Summit. GLS is what people like abbreviate it for. So the biggest thing that stood out to me when people were talking about vision throughout the summit is when somebody said, your vision has to be bigger than your circumstances. Okay. Your vision has to be bigger than your circumstances. And I think that in this business, we all do this, and really not just in this business, but anywhere in life. We see what's right in front of us. And it's like this brick wall is right in front of us. And sometimes we can't see past it, right? Because it feels like so hard to climb up over this wall. And so you have to have a vision that's way bigger than what you're going through right now. And so it has to be so big that you need to be careful who you tell it to. Okay. And that really stood out to me because I think sometimes that even if you're like me, like I'm one of those people that like I'll say, yeah, I don't really care what that person thinks, and I'll say it and I'll come across confident, but you're not being truthful with yourself if somehow, some way that doesn't get into the back of your mind a little bit. And so it's important that you realize that your vision has to be so big, you should only tell it to a couple people because everybody else wouldn't believe it. And so make sure you guys are remembering that, because that really has even stood out to me now. Like when I'm talking to people and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be out like doing this stuff. And I don't even want to tell everybody because I know some people would look at me like I have four heads. And so think about that. Don't dumb down don't dim your light just because you want somebody else to, like, you're trying to dumb it down for them. Make sure that you are being true and honest with yourself about what you truly want, even if it is scary. Okay, Kayla, talk about what your biggest aha moment was when it comes to like vision.
Yeah, so I wanted to touch on a couple things. So one thing that really stood out to me was one of the speakers said, a vision cannot be dependent on any single person. And I think that is so applicable to this business because I think everyone starts for themselves, but they stay for other people. And when you get a team, and when you're starting to become a leader and you're starting to gather team members and build a team and build a legacy, it's not about you anymore. It's about every single person on your team. So you have to create a vision that's not only for yourself, but for every single person on your team. And then they also talked about, this is not about you. If you are still concerned about what people think about you, or if they like you or not, or what you're focused on, and if you're focused on that, you have lost sight of your why. And if you focus on what people think about you or what they say, and you're not focused on your goal, then you've lost sight of your why. And they talked about to expect those challenges, expect those obstacles, but never, ever, ever lose sight of your vision and your why. And so I thought that was brilliant, and not only applicable to life, but this business especially. Our why is our most important thing, because if you don't have a strong why, you're going to crumble, because you're not going to have anything personally motivating you internally to keep going and to keep striving for more. So those are my points.
Yes, love it. Okay, Jazz, you want to go last on this one? Hold on. Burgundy, you're next.
Yes, Kayla. Yes. I'm like over here like, yes. Like I'm in the seminar.
I know, it's like just preach.
Preach. We actually were able to hear John Maxwell speak. I just think about all the people that I was telling, like, y'all, I'm about to go hear John Maxwell speak, and they're like, who? Just like, you don't know, okay. But he talked about a vision gap. He said that it's necessary for you to have a vision gap. And the vision gap is the space between what you're doing and what you could be doing. So what are you doing presently that you could be doing to expand your vision, to reach your vision, to reach your goal? And he said, while you're in this gap, you should be asking God to send you the right people. And you should also ask God to do what you can't do for yourself. So God, do more for me than I can do for myself. But in this vision gap, this is where the space between what you're doing and what you could be doing. And he said this like bomb quote, y'all, at the very end. I'm going to say it like 3 times just so y'all can get it. He said, the ceiling of my potential is the floor of God's room. The ceiling, the peak of my potential is just the floor of God's room. Like that was like so profound to me, is because we like place limitations on ourselves when we have this whole amazing omnipotent God who makes everything happen for us. So it's like, don't put God in a box. Don't place limitations on yourself, because even if you're here, God still has this whole, space to fill. So that was just so profound to me. That was like magnificent. I need to put it on my wall. But yeah, in reference to vision, have this vision gap. Don't put God in a box, and don't place limitations on your own, on what you can do for yourself.
Yes, it's so good. Literally so good. Okay, so I'm literally like, I just need to calm down because I'm just so hyped right now. Okay, so Rach, you're next.
Okay, they've already said a lot of the good stuff, but something else that stood out to me was when someone said, be flexible on how you get to the goal, which is your vision. I'm sorry, he's been sick. So he said, changing the how doesn't mean there's a change in the what and the why. I'll say it again. Changing the how doesn't mean there's a change in the what and the why. It doesn't matter how you get there. Your what and your why is always going to stay the same. You may have a short-term why, but your ultimate vision, that's going to remain the same. So I love how they said be flexible on how you get to the actual goal. Because things change, people go through things, and don't be surprised when you face defeat, because it's going to happen, but you have to keep going no matter what. So that stood out to me as well. And I'll let Jazz take it from here. She wants to close out this topic.
Ours was so similar, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't take yours, because literally, like, I had some of that written down. So Dr. Legault, I don't know if that's how you say her name. She's from Africa, but she was the one who also quoted what Ray just said. And she also said, focus on why you started. Challenges does not mean that the dream is not working. And I love that, y'all. Don't forget why you're here. No matter what comes up, you cannot forget why you came, why you started, what you're doing. And when things happen, it doesn't mean it's time to quit. It doesn't mean that things aren't working. It's just a challenge. And we're going to talk about challenges later. I'm not going to say that quote that I really want to say right now, because I know we're going to talk about it later. I'm done.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is literally so good. But one of the other things I wanted to add is when we're talking about changing the how, and not changing the why or the what, right? We all have to remember to be patient, right? Because your dreams are going to take time. Like, if you got your dream overnight, it wouldn't mean anything to you, right? It wouldn't be anything. And so thinking that your dream is not going to take time really undermines what your dream is. And that's what she said. She's like, if your dream would happen overnight, your dream isn't big enough. And so of course your dream is going to take time. And to think that it wouldn't is kind of undermining what your dream is. So I don't know. I love that part. Okay. So that was what we had for vision. For the next topic, we're talking about faith and fear and how those two can't go together. And one of the biggest things for me is when somebody, let me pull up my notes because I will misquote this, is when they said the difference between faith and fear is that if you're looking through the lens of fear, you're looking at something as a threat. But if you look through the lens of faith, you're looking at it as an opportunity. Okay. And so that for me was like, it was so crazy to think about, because I think so many times we act on fear-based decisions. And really we need to take that time to, even if it's a disagreement with somebody or an obstacle, right? And we're looking at it like, oh my gosh, but we all know, how many stories have you listened to when the greatest stuff happens after that obstacle, right? Like all great stories are the stuff that have the obstacles in them. And so we can't think that every time like, oh, this is happening to me, right? We have to realize it's happening for us to some degree as well. Okay, Berg, I'll let you go next. I just love your energy, Berg. I'm just going to stare at you the whole time because you're
told you I had keto energy at like 5, so I'm like over here like just lit. So with faith over fear, one speaker, I want to say it was Craig Groeschel, he said we should never insult God with small and safe thinking. So that statement alone, I feel so much conviction, because I think of all the things, we have that sound, that voice in our head is like, you can't do that. You'll never be that. You'll never make that. You'll never reach that. And it's like, that's an insult to God. Like, we are insulting God by putting limitations on ourselves. So that really stuck out to me. And then another thing that really stuck out to me, Danielle Strickland, she said, fear is the currency of oppression. So she gave the story about how Pharaoh was fearful of the Israelites. So Pharaoh oppressed them. So fear will oppress you from reaching your goals, reaching your maximum potential, reaching, all that you could be and who you are called to be. So it's like you have to place that fear behind you. It's perfectly, normal human nature. You will, face fear and feel fears, but it's what you do with the fear. Are you going to allow it to prevent you from actually, springing into action? I don't want to branch over into somebody else's spiel, so I'm going to stop there. But, that's it.
Okay. Kayla, go ahead.
Okay, so the points that I had was, don't be afraid to make a mistake. Actually celebrate the mistakes. I feel like so many times in this business, we make a mistake, or we didn't say the right thing to that customer and we lost the sale, or, we sent this long detailed message to a DT and they were like, what are you talking about? And I think we need to celebrate those mistakes, because we're constantly learning and growing and changing. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to be stagnant in where you are in life and in this business. So celebrate those mistakes. Be relentless and unwavering in what you want to achieve, but not unwavering in how you want to get there. So I think your goal of what you want to achieve should be ever changing. Okay, I want to achieve executive. Okay, now I got that. So now I want to go for Ruby. Okay, got that. So now I want to go to Emerald. But the how and how you get there should never change. You should always be constantly moving and evolving into.
You said that backwards.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. You were going to talk about like the fear has no place in your success. That one.
Yeah. And then the last point, what Kels just said, we can make a difference or we can make excuses, but we cannot make both. I think that quote was so powerful. So I'll say it again. We can make a difference or we can make excuses, but we cannot make both. So I thought that was just crazy, because so many times we make excuses. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I'm too scared. I'm too this. I'm too this. And we make those excuses in our heads. And if we live in the excuses, we will never see our potential and the difference that we can make. So That was that.
I love it. I love it. Jazz, you didn't go yet, did you? You didn't go.
Nope. I can go next. Okay. So one thing that really stood out to me was from Erwin McManus, where he talked about faith. He said, faith doesn't make your life easier. Faith makes you stronger. That was so good, y'all. So many times we think that when we accept Christ and we walk this life, that it's going to be easy. I don't know where we get that from, but we think that it's going to be easy. And it was just a good reminder to know that those things that we go through, they build up your faith. They build up your faith so that you can face anything that comes toward you. And then if you put your life in God's hands, he'll send you farther than you could ever go alone. So I love, love, love that. If you put your life in God's hands, he'll send you farther than you could ever go alone. So that's that whole faith over fear thing. But you have to surrender your life and you have to allow God to work on your behalf. So I love, love, love those two quotes.
So good. So good. Okay. Rach.
All right, so I'm also going to talk about a lot that Erwin McManus quoted. He spoke about living a life of faith and how we go through pain. And your pain is not the boundary of your limitation. And our greatness is on the other side of our pain. And even for Jesus, his greatness was on the other side of his pain. Like, look what he did for us. And his greatness was on the other side of his pain. He died on the cross so that we may live. And it wasn't until that our greatness, it was because of that we achieved his greatness. So even for Jesus, his greatness was on the other side of his pain. So trust that God has something on the other side. Your pain is not the boundary of your limitation. I'm sorry, my son. So I just want you, like, anybody who's going through something or going through pain, just have that faith that you can get through that. What you fear has mastery over your life. He also quoted that. I'll say that again. What you fear has mastery over your life. So I just wanted to let anybody know if you're going through something, just keep the faith, because just remember, your greatness is on the other side of your pain. You can't be fearful. You have to live a life of faith regardless of the situation. So keep it moving.
So good. So good. Okay, for the next one, our topic is going to be failures and mistakes. They talked a lot about this, you guys, which I love, because sometimes I think, we always want to celebrate the successes, and it's so easy to realize that, oh, this person is triple diamond, or this person, stays at home all the time, so of course she can be successful, or this person this and this person that. And so many people, we see greatness, like we see Joel and Stephanie Dunn, right? And we see greatness at the highest level within our company, but we don't see the behind the scenes of the hard work that goes on. And I think that putting this out there and just being super vulnerable and transparent is allowing, and they were just affirming, like, this is how leaders act. Leaders don't say like, oh, I've never had mistakes or I've never had failures. They were saying leaders are going to lean into that. They're going to use that, right? And so the biggest thing, aha moment, was when he was talking about how when you fail, God is going to be able to get the glory. Okay. And if you didn't, then, you would be able to think that you could do it all on your own. But you have to be transparent as a leader. You cannot think that, or let your team, or let, whoever you're leading, think that you just are on this, path that's so easy and it's so simple. But embrace those failures that you have. One of the probably one of the most favorite quotes I've ever heard, not just there, but ever, is when somebody said, the road to success is paved by mistakes that were well handled. Let me say that again. The road to success is paved by mistakes that were well handled. Okay.
That's so good.
It's so good. And so that is just so important that we all realize, like, we're failing our way to success, you guys. Like, we're not just like success. What did John Maxwell, is somebody can talk about that? John Maxwell, I don't know if I'm taking somebody's, let me know. But John Maxwell said, I got to find it because it was so good. Hopefully I'm not hitting on somebody else's. I forget. But he said, I have so many notes. He said something about the routine of how you can get better. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find it. It's like fail. Let me see real quick.
It was
It's
developing the
test,
process. You found it? Okay.
the test, fail, learn, improve, and then re-enter. So like redo it, right? So you're gonna test what you're trying to do. You're gonna fail. You're gonna learn, and then you're gonna improve, and then you're gonna go back and try to do it again. Okay? And this is from somebody who's literally one of the most well-known leadership experts. This is what he's telling us, you guys. This is not something I just came up with and, try to make myself feel better. This is somebody who's saying you're going to test some things out, you're going to fail, you're going to learn, you're going to improve, and redo it again. And then you're going to test and you're going to fail, and it's just going to keep going. It's just going to keep going. But I think that was so profound to me, because sometimes it's so easy to give up after one time. It's so easy to say, oh, well, I tried it, but it didn't work for me. I tried it. Like, how many times have you tried a message one time? Let's just use that for instance. And you're like, oh, that person said no. It's done. Right? Like, nope, I can't get a distributor. Somebody said no to me. I can't sell triple threat because somebody said that was too expensive, right? And we tell these stories to ourselves instead of learning, how can we make this better and redo it? How can we learn and improve and re-enter? So that was amazing for me. Jasmine, go ahead.
All right, you guys. So how many of you guys you don't have to answer this. If you want to in the comments, you can. So how many of you guys have read the book Soar by T.D. Jakes? So T.D. Jakes was there, and he talked about eagles and how it's so important to fail. Like, failing is important, because when eagles learn to fly, they don't learn how to fly by flying. They don't just, jump off the cliff and just fly. The first time they fall, they flap a little bit and they fall, and they flap a little bit more and they fall, and they flap a little bit more and a little bit more and they fall, and they keep going until they're able to soar. And that was so good, y'all. He said something else that I wanted to say that was right behind that, and I threw my book down. Okay. What did you learn from the things you did wrong for the next dimension? I love that. Because we have, like Kelsey just said, we learn by failing, but through that failure, we have to make sure that we're learning so that we can apply it within the next thing. So always think about that as you're working your business, as you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Know that you're going to fail, and it's going to take time. It is a process. So just trust the process.
So good. Kayla, you're next.
Okay, so a couple points. And I think I realized I switched my points, but that's okay, because we all make mistakes. All right, so one of the points I wanted to make was, imagine, this quote is so good. Imagine how many need permission to get started, but none need permission to quit. Like,
say it again, Pastor. Taylor.
Imagine how many need permission to get started, but none need permission to quit. People are so ready to give up and so ready to quit on everything that they started. We get these stories in our heads and the negative talk and the self-doubt and this self-worthlessness, and we just believe that. And then we quit. And we don't ask anyone for help. We don't say, hey, I'm thinking about quitting. We just quit. But when we want to start something, new and exciting, it's like a challenge. It's like an obstacle we have to overcome. And we think about all the things that could go wrong, but what could go right? And so that just blew my mind. And then the other thing that they talked about was where God guides, he provides. If he brought you to it, he will bring you through it. So no matter what you're going through, what challenges and obstacles you have to overcome, if you have that faith to know that he will guide you through it and it will be okay. If you just do not give up, if you just do not quit. So that just blew my mind.
Love it. Love it. You can't hear that and not be like, that was one of the quotes where everybody was like, ooh. Okay, Burgundy.
Okay, so we're talking about failures and mistakes. Carla Harris, she basically said mistakes are as valuable as success. So as everyone has stated before me, you have to go through a plethora of mistakes to reach a certain level of success. And what Kelsey was basically explaining, we see highlight reels. We see, this glamorous lifestyle that these leaders are living who reached a certain level of success. But we don't see the grit and the grind, the blood, sweat, and tears that they put into getting to that position. So you have to learn how to celebrate your mistakes. You have to change and shift your mindset as to how you view your mistakes. Mistakes are necessary and potential for you to grow. They're potential for you to reach success. There's no level of success or no successful person that's going to tell you I didn't make mistakes or I didn't fail. So know that that is necessary. It's part of the game. Play the game. Stay in the game. That's it. Boom.
Okay. Rachel, you're next.
All right, so I have 3 quick quotes that stood out to me. The first one, most leaders could learn from their mistakes if they weren't so busy denying them. I'll say that again. Most leaders could learn from their mistakes if they weren't so busy denying them. Don't embrace your mistakes. Hold yourself accountable. Like, it's okay to make a mistake. We all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. So that really stood out to me because I know a lot of people who deny, they have a hard time accepting when they mess up. I mean, it's okay. So just sit back, that's part of that self-reflection. Like, sit back and evaluate yourself for a moment. Something else that stood out to me: if you wait until you're 100% good at something new before trying it, you will always be too late. I'll say that again. If you wait until you're 100% good at something new before trying it, you will always be too late. You're not going to have something perfect before starting it. So do not wait until you think you have it 100% accurate before trying it or starting something new. Like, once again, step out on faith and take that leap of faith and get to it. Like, you never know what you're missing out on. And one more thing that stood out to me was this quote: challenges are a part of a purpose-filled journey. So it's all boiling back down to these obstacles. Challenges are a part of a purpose-filled journey. Anything with purpose, you're gonna go through obstacles, trials, tribulations. It's a part of the journey. It's not gonna come easy. It might come 10 years from now, who knows? But you never know what God has in store for you. It's all a part of your season and God's time. And so just remember that challenges are a part of a purpose-filled journey. That's it.
So good. So good. Okay. There's like, you guys, there's so many moments. I know you guys are probably already like, whoa, like this is a lot of information. How am I going to remember all this? Somebody said it, but it literally was like trying to drink out of a fire hydrant, you guys. Like, we were trying to take this all in and we were like, oh my gosh, how can we get this all right? Like, I had to bring my computer and I'm like trying to type it all so fast. Somebody said here, like, Kelsey, you're a really fast typer, but some of it I'm copying and pasting from my notes that I'd already typed. So I'm not really that fast of a typer. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk on is communication. Okay, communication is such a big thing when we are dealing with maybe adverse situations, but also when we're trying to get like our point across, right? Like maybe we just aren't very good. Like people are misunderstanding what we're saying. So that for me was really big because I know that it was one of the things that was said during this time was it's not about who's right or who's wrong. Okay, that is really inconsequential. What it is about is making sure you're exercising perspective taking, meaning how well can I explain where the other person is coming from? Okay, and to put it in the context of our business, how many times have you guys signed a distributor? The distributor 3 days later, exactly, Trinita, Doctor Who, like nobody knows how to say it. Nobody knows how to spell it. It's like an African name, I think. Was amazing though. So if you can just copy and paste that, you can probably find some stuff.
Yeah, we just say the real smart lady whenever we quote her.
Right. Well, she was a real smart lady. So anyways, but when you're exercising perspective taking, it's just super important to be able to explain where the other person is coming from, right? So even though, let's say we have new distributors, they join, they're like, nobody wants this. And we're thinking in our head, bro, you've posted one time. What are you talking about? And we're like getting really frustrated with it. Like we have to be able to exercise that perspective taking of putting ourselves into their shoes and saying, okay, where are they coming from? They've never done a business like this before. They're probably really scared that they're going to fail. They don't really know everything that we know about how amazing this business is. So how can I communicate to them all that I want them to know, right? Like we want them to just know how amazing it is because we know how amazing it is. And we're always like, yes, this is so amazing. But they haven't had the experiences that we've had. So each time when we're dealing with new distributors, we have to help them get those new experiences, right? And write their own. Sorry, I don't know if somebody was trying to say something. Sorry if I cut you off. But that was like so big for me. Just understanding that it's so inconsequential about who's right and who's wrong because being right actually earns you nothing. It really doesn't. So I love that. Burgundy, you're next.
So again, Carla Harris, again, she was a phenomenal speaker. And this whole communication and just hearing different tips on leadership, this is where I started to really re-examine myself and think of the way that I lead and the way that I communicate. So it was like a really huge self-reflection for me and just examining myself as a leader. She said, be an inclusive leader. I see you. I hear you. So when you're talking to your downline, when you're talking to your new distributors, include them, make them feel like, you know, they're a part of this. I see you. I hear what you're saying. I understand. These are, you know, just phrases that you can use. And she went on to say that there's no title needed to be a leader. Leadership starts right now. Leadership starts as soon as you say yes to your business, because as you grow your organization, you're going to be responsible for other people. So don't feel like you have to be double diamond, triple diamond, diamond, emerald to be a leader. You're a leader at distributor level. Know that, start to practice that so you'll be prepared as your organization grows. So you'll already have that down pat. So she said, be an inclusive leader. Speak to your team as, you know, saying, I see you, I hear you. Just make sure you're including them and know that you don't need a title to be a leader. Everybody say it.
What?
I told everybody to say, I am a leader.
Yes.
I'm looking at people's lips.
I think my neck's going to be sore from like nodding so much because I'm like, yes. Okay. So Jasmine, you're next.
All right. So Craig Groeschel, which if you guys don't know, how many of us have the Bible app, the YouVersion Bible app? Craig Groeschel is the creator of the Bible app. So one thing that he said was, when you are looking at leadership, you have a heart to care and you have to love people. So one of the things that he talked about is basically this whole thing behind, I notice and you matter. So I notice what you do and what you did matter. And really talking about he really touched on like making sure that you show appreciation. And all of these things that we're discussing right now, I know it made me really take a look at myself and think about things that I need to work on within myself. And he talked about appreciating people and then double it. Like if you think you're appreciating people on your team, double it and then double it again, to make sure that people know that they are inclusive, that they matter. So let people know that you appreciate what it is that they do, and make sure that you're very clear when you're communicating that.
So good. And yeah, Haniel, he only has like a net worth, that dude, of like 7.8 billion. Like it's no big deal. Just casual $7.8 billion. Like it's fine.
I know. He could literally just bail the whole country out, but whatever. It's okay though. I'm here now.
I know. Okay. Okay, Rachel, you can go next.
Okay, I'm also going to speak about something Craig Rochelle said. I'm going to share two more points, and one was passion to inspire. He spoke about how being generous with recognition. So when you want to be a good leader or direct your team, you want to make sure that you're a good listener, like being genuinely concerned about your team's well-being. And you want to be, he talked about being a centered leader, which means secure, stable, confident, fully engaged, internal alignment with their values. He spoke a lot about being guided by values. All you need is one or two well-developed strengths to inspire. So don't think you need all of these attributes in order to inspire somebody. All you need is one or two well-developed strengths to inspire someone. And he also talked about the willingness to empower. Sorry, my child has been running fever. Empowerment, not command or control. You can have control or growth, but you cannot have both. I'll say that again. You can have control or growth, but you cannot have both. If we delegate tasks, we are creating followers. But if we delegate authority, we are creating leaders. I'll say that one more time. If we delegate tasks, we are creating followers. But if we delegate authority, we are creating leaders. He also talked about, he first said this, or it was similar to what Carla said. He said, using I trust you, you decide, I believe in you. So just think about how you're directing your team. If you don't trust your team, you're either too controlling or you have the wrong people. So he said that too. So think about that. So, and the best way you can find out if you trust somebody is to trust them. So, you gotta trust them.
That was so good. Can we all actually give Rachel like some snaps or something for being on there with the sick baby? Because how many people would have just been like, I'm good, I can't tonight, my baby is sick. So let's give her some props for even hopping on here.
Go Ray.
Okay. Who are you next, Jasmine? Did you do communication yet?
Already went.
Kayla, you're next.
Wait, oh yeah, communication. I was like, what? So I think it's really important not only to think about the communication and how you're communicating with your team, but how you're communicating with yourself. And so they talked a lot about the dialogue that we have with ourselves. So first, change the story you're telling yourself in your head. That's got to be like the first thing you do. Is if you're not where you want to be, if you're not the person that you want to be, if you don't think that you're reaching the maximum potential of who you think you can be, then you got to change the dialogue that's inside your head, and identify that. The story we tell about who we are and what does that say about us. So what story do we tell ourselves? Like, I know I'm guilty of this, is that I will always forever say I'm not a morning person. That's the story that I've told myself. That's what I've convinced myself. I have convinced myself that I am not a morning person. So I have a very hard time waking up in the morning. But if I were to switch that inner dialogue and say, no, I am a morning person. I love mornings. I love waking up at this time. And I set that routine and I set that dialogue, my habits are going to change once my dialogue in my head changes. Still working on it. And then another thing that they said was, it's really difficult to get anywhere when you have 2 talkers and 0 listeners. So you can't be in a dialogue with somebody and you guys are just talking at each other, because that's not going to get you guys anywhere. There's got to be one person talking and then a listener. And then, you say, I feel this way. I feel like this. I feel like this. Not, you're doing this wrong. You're bad at this. It's got to come from you. And then there's got to be on the other side of that, a listener to take that in and go, okay, I see how you're feeling. And at the same time, this is how I'm feeling. And so if we create that dialogue, I think that's going to be so beneficial, not only in life, but for our teams, and to really hear one another and hear what we need and hear what we need to succeed. And so that's how we're ultimately going to change, is once we stop talking at each other and we start listening to one another.
So good. Okay. I think I got everybody on that one, didn't I? Okay. So the last thing we're going to cover is just learning how to live intentionally. Okay. And this is something that everybody can work on. Nobody is perfect on this. And so I'm super excited about this one, because this is probably the one I'm like most passionate about, that I get most hyped about. And so Berg, I think I want you to go first on this one.
Okay. So in intentional living, John Maxwell was describing leaders. He said, what do leaders have in common? Leaders see more than others see and before others see. So with intentional living, there should be an intentional growth every single day. And what this growth does, it increases your capacity to see more before, as great leaders do. So again, he said, leaders see more than others see and before others see. So if you're growing every day, it's going to increase your capacity to do that. If you're still excited about what you did 5 years ago, you're not growing. So if you're still talking about your highlight of high school, your highlights of college, and you graduated college 4 or 5 years ago, or you accomplished the past 4 or 5 years ago, you're not growing. It's time to accomplish something new. It's time to do something else.
All right, I can't be excited about my triple diamond promotion that happened a year and a half ago.
But right, so if you're still excited about what you did 5 years ago, you're not growing. So it's time to, get new goals, crush them, and make more goals, so that it's a continuous growth and you're living intentionally.
Yes, love that. Okay, Rach, you're next.
Okay, I was trying to unmute. So something else that stood out. Now he's waving, not crying. Strive Masiyiwa, another African speaker who was there. Hard to say his name also, but he was like he invented EcoNet. It was a way for the people from his country to basically have communication, telecommunication or
like cell phones, yeah.
Cell phone. Basically he had like a 5-year delay in the building of EcoNet, but back to earlier, like we said, his vision was bigger than his circumstances. So he was intentional. He knew what he wanted. He kept going after it. Like, they laughed at him when he first mentioned it. Like, they didn't think he was gonna be able to do what he did. And this man is like $6.5 billion. He's worth that much now. But back on topic. Consistency is the bridge of each short-term win. So you have to be consistent with everything you do. Being intentional and consistency falls neck and neck. Like, even when we don't succeed right away, even God, at the end of each day, God celebrated his unfinished work. So just think about that. Like, you don't always have to celebrate the wins. At the end of each day, God celebrated his unfinished work. So if we just took the time out each day to be like, Lord, I thank you for letting me plant those seeds today. And because I know greater is coming. I just thank you for that. And I'm just going to continue to be intentional and to keep a clear vision, because I know that greater is coming. So I'll leave it at that.
Yes, love it. Thank you for being on here too, Rach.
No problem.
So one of the things too that we like, just to emphasize what she was saying about what God, like, how God celebrated every day after his unfinished work, right? And what did he say after all the 7 days of creation? It is good. That's what he said. It is good. It wasn't done yet. He wasn't finished, but he still celebrated and he still said it is good. And so why can't we celebrate that process, right? That process of this is where we are right now. And there's such a big difference between being complacent and being content. Okay. You can be content without being complacent. You can be grateful for where you are and where you've been without being complacent and not want to go any further. Okay. So make sure you guys are recognize that. I'm just going to go. Okay. So the big thing that I loved, I have a couple points. Number one, people become what they see. Okay, so make sure you're being super intentional with who you're surrounding yourself with and what standards. Raise your guys' standards. Who you hung out with before you joined this business might have to change. It might. There's going to be new people added. There's going to be some people subtracted. It's just part of life. And if you want to get better, you have to see better. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say is you always must have a core of people who believe in you, but are still willing to question and challenge you and remind you where you are going. Okay. If you don't have those people in your life and you are the best person at everything in your group, you need to get a new group. If you're the person that it makes the most money, or, if you're the person who is the most fit, or you're the person who is the most, devout person who has the best relationship with God, you need to get a new circle, right? Because that's where some complacency will creep in. Okay. Somebody else said that, I don't know who said it, but they were like, mediocrity is like a slow creeper. Right? Like it doesn't just happen to where you're like, oh, I'm mediocre today. Like I'm settling for mediocrity today. Like it happens over time and it's just like a slow killer. Like you don't realize that it's happening. And then you wake up one day and you're like, what have I been doing? Right? And you don't even realize that it's happened to you, and nobody is immune to it. Okay. Oh, you did? I don't know. I'm literally like, you guys, I have so much in my brain. I'm like, I don't even care who said it. I'm just about to spit it to you. And okay. So as we're going through life and we're living intentional, I think a lot of us have probably asked yourselves, like, will I ever amount to anything? Like, who am I really? Right? And that's really the question that we want to figure out. Because life really isn't about the title, your intelligence, or your talent level. But life is really about, how can I become the person that I was created to be? How can I fulfill God's calling on my life? And how can I break out of that momentum of mediocrity? And those answers are going to be different for all of you. But those are the questions that you guys should be asking yourself. Right? So let me say them again. How can I become the person that I was created to be? And how do I break out of the momentum of mediocrity? And it happens to everybody. Like I said, it really does. And understanding at the end of the day, what legacy do you want to leave? Because you're creating that legacy. And I know for me, is I really related to what somebody said of, you know what? I just want somebody to say, like, I am who I am because of who you are. Right? And our organization or my life is better because you were in it. And those are some things that I've been thinking about. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because I think that living intentionally and realizing all of these things that we're going through may not be for us. It may be to help somebody else through how we got through that. Okay, Jazz. Oh no, yeah, Jazz, you can go.
Okay. So I want to share two different things. So the first thing that I want to share is from Erwin McManus. Y'all can probably tell he's one of our favorites. So he said that we are living, this kind of goes into like just really being intentional about your day-to-day activities. So he said, we are living as if we are saving things for the next life when really all we have is this life. So good, y'all. I'm going to say that again. We are living as if we are saving things for the next life when really all we have is this life. And he basically just said, you know, we're all dying. Like, that's the reality. We are all dying. Everybody's dying. Sorry if that's a surprise to you, but yes, we are. So we have to live every single day like it has value. And whatever you can do today, don't put it off. Don't put it off, and don't waste any time, because tomorrow is not promised. And then another thing that I wanted to add, I was listening to his podcast yesterday, and I know this is not from GLS, but I promise to make this really quick, but I think this goes hand in hand. He talked about the importance to choose. You have to choose the life that you want. If you don't make choices, you're going to end up with a life that you regret. You're going to end up with the default life that is miserable, something that you didn't choose. God gave you power. You do not have to sit around and wait for anything. He's already given you the power to do what it is that you are led to do. But first, you got to be connected to him. If you're not connected to him, then you don't know what to do. But if you're connected to him, you're going to be able to do whatever it is that you need to do. And you're going to do it in boldness, with power, with authority. But you have to be connected to him. So know that you have to choose. And if you don't choose to choose, you'll create a life you never wanted. And what did I put? And you won't know how to work your way out of it, because the choices will become a pattern in your life. So good, y'all. I'm going to say that last part one more time. If you don't choose to choose, you'll create a life you never wanted. And you won't know how to work your way out of that life, because the choices will become a pattern in your life.
I listened to that today. It was so good. Okay, Kayla, finish us off. Bring us home, girl.
Yes. All right. So I wanted to end this with questions that they left with us. Craig Rochelle ended it, and he brought it all home, and he left us with these questions. So I typed them out, and I'm about to hit send on these questions. And so this is something that I want everyone, because it really does help. I thought this was BS when I first heard it, but it really does help when you actually physically write out questions and answers. So something that I want you guys to think about is, what is the true current state of your organization? So if you have a team, or if you don't have a team, what do you want the vision of your team to be? What do you want the state of your organization to be? Think about it. What is the true current state of your leadership? How is your leadership happening? How is it working? How is it not working? There was a quote, I don't know if we said it already, but it said, most people leave businesses not because the business was failing or the business was bad, but because the leader that they had in that business was bad. So they left because either, their store manager wasn't up to par, or their leader, whoever they worked under, wasn't good enough for their standards, and they weren't seen and they weren't heard. So really think about how is your leadership? How do you want you to be as a leader? How do you see yourself as a leader? Envision that person. How do you talk to your DTs? How do you treat your loyal customers? So what is the current true state of your leadership? Why are you successful? Why are you flat? And why are you struggling? So what's working, what's not? And you don't have to, also just think about these things by yourself. You can go to your upline, or you can go to your downline or sidelines and say, okay, what's working for y'all? What's not working for y'all? What can we do to better not only ourselves, but our team and our organization as a whole? Because we not only represent ourselves, but we represent this company. We represent It Works. And so we want to live true to that and live with integrity and true, honest leadership, because that's how we're going to give this company a good name. And so think about all that. If you were starting now, so imagine you just clicked send on your DT thing, you just got your starter kit. If you were starting now, what are you currently doing that you would not do, and why are you still doing it? If there is something that you're doing that you you were to start over today, you would not continue to make that a habit. Why are you still doing it? So for example, if you want to wake up earlier, why aren't you? If you want to do more power hours, why aren't you? If you want to have a better relationship with your upline or your sidelines or your downlines or anyone in this business, why aren't you? So think about that and then do it. If you were starting over today, what would you attempt? And now, when are you going to attempt it? So what's something that you had as a goal when you first started that you wanted to attempt and you were like, I'm going to go diamond in 30 days. That's what I'm going to attempt. Or something, crazy. You have to have that crazy goal in your head. So then you always have something to reach. I think it's really important when we start, we have to have a goal and then we have to have a reach goal. So we have to have a goal that's attainable and that's real and that we know that we can do. But then we have to have a reach goal where we're like, okay, but I kind of want to try this. Because that is going to keep us excited. That reach goal is what's going to keep us going. And so what do you want to attempt that you haven't attempted yet? And just do it. All of what we're telling you tonight is not applicable if you don't apply it. Everything that we have shared, all the tips, all the quotes, all the leadership, all of everything, if you do not change, if you do not do it, this Zoom was pointless. So you got to go out and you got to change and you got to do something different. And then that's when you're going to see your life change. And that's when you're going to see your life change into the life that you know you always wanted and you know you could go out and get. That's all.
Yes. Does anybody have any last things that they want to mention before we shut it down, y'all?
Can I add one more quote to kind of close us out? I think it kind of goes into what Kayla said. The future is scary, right? So for some of us, the future can be scary. Most of us would accept the comfort and safety of a past that has held us captive than the mystery and uncertainty of a future that our souls long for. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. The future is scary. Most of us would accept the comfort and safety of a past that holds us captive than the mystery and uncertainty of a future that our souls long for. Get uncomfortable, guys. It's time for all of us. Every single person on this call has something. If not, my list is long, things that I need to work on, that I need to think about, that I need to reevaluate. All of us. So just take it one thing at a time. And another thing before we go that I want to say, if you're that person, I caught myself the other day, like, dang, you suck. You need to get it together, right? And I had to snap out of that because, I'm not perfect. Nobody here is perfect. Allow yourself that grace and just take it. Take everything that was shared here today. Don't beat yourself up. But make the necessary changes that you need to make to be the best leader possible. And if you don't have a team, act like you have one right now. What would you want your team to consist of? What would you want that team to represent? What would you want to do for that team? Start doing it right now. Thank you guys so much. This was really good.
Thank you.
I want you to write it in the chat, Jasmine.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to close in prayer while you're writing that.
Okay.
Dear Lord, thank you for this time so much, for allowing our teams to come together and just completely be one team, one mission. We just want to thank you so much for allowing us to have this experience and then hopefully some way translate it back into our teams and just let the words that we spoke today resonate in the hearts of our teams and allow them to inspire them into action and take their business and to the next level so that they can live the life that you created for them in the future that you have out in front of them. Amen. I love you guys. Are you writing it? Slow writer, man. I'm just kidding.
I was trying to listen to the prayer too.
Okay.
Amen. Yep, that's
Amen.
it.
Okay, cool. I love you guys. Thanks for hopping on with us.